as well.
I wanted to ask you, I'm sorry, did I cut you off?
Nope.
Okay, I wanted to ask you about sort of the green movement we've been hearing so much about. I'm imagining that it impacts both of your fields. The technology is changing. How is that impacting the way that we teach and the programs?
I deal heavily with the workforce development area of our industry, the industry I represent. And, you know, the green movement is definitely there because if you listen to the radio today, Baltimore Gas and Electric said that the average person's gas bill will go up $110 this year compared to last year.
Thanks for telling us that.
And, you know, so it just so happens that the heating and air conditioning and hot water heating that people use in their home is a very large amount of their energy bill. So our industries are very much into teaching the technicians how to make sure that it's properly tuned up. I use an example of that as, you know, even though it's not a car engine, it still has to be tuned up, and proper maintenance and making sure that it's just 100% right. So every dollar of a consumer's spending, you're trying to squeeze as much out of it as you possibly can. And the green movement with the workforce and everything is just, you know, being retrained to what's new out there, the changes in the industry. And I know from Deborah's, you know, stuff with automotive, and I can tell you with the air conditioning stuff, I'm heavily involved in it, and I just can't keep up with it. It's that fast of a moving target. And which means that we also have to get the instructors and the teachers and, you know, in the classroom to move with that same thing. So all of us, even though, you know, we teach, we need to go out and we need to constantly learn what's happening out there. And, you know, green is a very big thing.
And Deborah, speaking of changes, we're talking about hybrid automotives.
Hybrid automotives, alternative fuels. We almost saw a delay there for a while. We saw hybrid vehicles coming to the marketplace, people purchasing them. You saw buses going by with alternative fuels. And then it was almost overnight, technicians needed to be trained. And these were technicians that weren't working in dealerships, working in independent repair shops. So we have partners, CarQuest, Napa, etc., and they will bring instructors to the college and do training for technicians in the local area. And we, the automotive program at Montgomery College, also partners as well. We have a partnership now with the Maryland Department of the Environment, and it is emission related. It's a repair assistance program that we're providing to students as being contracted with the Maryland Department of Environment. So our students get the opportunity to work on their failed vehicles, and they get assistance from the Maryland Department of Environment financially for those repairs, and we all benefit by the fact that their vehicles are driving around and not polluting.
So they can fix their own cars and then bring it back to emissions. That's great.
So win-win all the way around.
All the way around.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If I could add, there's a new term that's even coming out. We think of a lot of these technical fields as being blue-collar jobs. The new term that we're hearing a lot now are green-collar jobs.
Yes.
And it's an important role. For example, in the construction industry, they're now talking about, and in fact, we're working with a number of other community colleges in the state to align all of our programs, and we're starting to refer to it as construction and energy. Because the energy aspects of building and construction are important, not just HVAC, but of course it's related, but making your lighting more efficient so that you don't have to have it on as often, and making insulating your buildings well so that they don't use up as much energy. And all those things are weaving themselves into all the different trade areas. It's an important aspect, and it's actually a growing part or phenomenon within all of the different technical trades that we're teaching.
Wow.
You know, and one thing that Ed, he has a program that's not part of an apprenticeship program that we're involved with on our apprenticeship level, or my association's also involved in, and that is because what's happening inside the building has a direct effect of what's happening with heating and air conditioning equipment. And so we are dealing with other groups, with the Maryland Department of Energy and people, to kind of work together and understand, and in a lot of cases we're cross-training people to do many different ththings that they didn't do before.
Okay. Ed, we're almost to 20 years of the Gudelsky Institute. Where do you see this going? What's in store for the future for the Gudelsky Institute?
Well, green's a good example. There are a lot of changing technologies and changing needs, and we're looking at some potential new programs to bring into Gudelsky. Some of the programs within Gudelsky have changed significantly. Printing, for example, We have a program that was primarily, when we opened the building, the printing presses and the folding and binding equipment, all that.
Now it all starts with a computer.
We had one computer lab. Now we have two computer labs as well as a mobile computer lab that we can take out on the road. So the technology has shifted from the presses more towards the computer. We're seeing that in all of the areas, and I think that there are some emerging technologies, particularly around green and energy, that we'll be looking at to bring into the building.
And Dean Roberts, in your building, since we're talking about it, it is a very hands-on learning environment. This is not maybe the more traditional classroom where you're sitting in a lecture. I think a walk through your building, anyone would see that everything is hands-on. Talk a little bit about some of the labs and projects that go on in your building on any particular day.
Well, the hands-on is integral to the programs. We do have a classroom component. Every class has the sit-down lecture and learn the theory part, because that's you can't do the hands-on until you understand the basics. But typically, a class would be, most classes are 2 hours of lecture a week and 4 hours of lab time.
Wow.
And the lab activities are designed to complement what we learn in the classroom and read in the textbook, but to give them the practical experience and to be able to do the critical thinking that's involved, particularly like in automotive or in HVAC, where you've got to be able to diagnose the system. People think, you plug the car in and the computer tells you there's a problem. Well, the computer tells you there is a problem, but it doesn't tell you what's causing the problem, and you've got to diagnose that, and you've got to be very technically savvy, and you can't do that from a textbook. You've got to go in, get your hands dirty, put your hands on the equipment, and work with it. So everything that we teach, for the most part, everything that we teach has a lab component and the hands-on experience, and that's what the apprenticeship programs are built on the job training activities for a couple thousand hours a year that they have to log in. So it's integral to technical training to have hands-on experience.
And does someone who's in the program also need to have a good background in math or science, or it's helpful but it's not required, let's say?
Yes. We really do encourage the high school students coming in to make sure that they have a good sound background in math and
physics
and reading, because the textbooks in our we've seen some studies that say that the reading level of our textbooks is 14th grade. They're very high level textbooks. They're very technical. If you've got poor reading skills, you're going to struggle. If you can't do math, you probably won't be able to work as an HVAC technician, an automotive technician. You won't be an electrician. There are a lot of the fields that require a fair level, at least Algebra 2 from high school, to be able to function well in the trades.
Okay.
Thank you so much, all of you, for joining us today.
Thank you.
If you'd like more information about the programs offered through the Gudelsky Institute for Technical Education at Montgomery College, log on to our website at montgomerycollege.edu. And as always, if you have questions about today's show or suggestions for future episodes, send an email to campus.conversations@montgomerycollege.edu. For all of us here at Campus Conversations, I'm Fritzi Bodenheimer.
And I'm Marcus Rosano. Thanks for watching.